Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 112 of the Xbox Smaller Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Char.
Hi.
Cameron.
Hello.
And our good friend Jake.
Hello, hello.
This week, we've got a little bit of news. We finally got some confirmation of release dates and things for from the end of Microsoft's last day of existence. Some achievements got fixed for a game that's like 7 years old or something. Cameron's going to talk about some fucking Age of Empires bullshit. I don't know, whatever. No, to be fair, he was very excited.
Yesterday was a very good day.
Yeah. I'm glad we did the podcast today then. And there's some general news around cloud stuff and Final Fantasy 14. So, there's actually quite a packed show. As always, we do this show live on Twitch. We've got some people hanging out in the chat there. We've got the Moons on. We've got our good friend Shane here. We've got Bulbasaur. So if you want to come see us, Xbox Hall of Games is the place to find us. We usually do the show live on a Friday, but we're doing it on a Sunday to make sure we can get Jake in here. So, come say hi. Otherwise, check out our Discord. Discord's the place to find out, any changes or anything that's happening or scheduling. I wish we had a nice link for the Discord anymore, but it is what it is.
That's fine. I can arrange that.
That'd be fantastic. All right. Well, we've got a community question that I think we'll start with from my good friend Isaac, who took a week off last week, who says, "Hey guys," he asked how my study is going. It's going slow. Well, that's fair. But a little bit of progress is better than no progress. He was trying to step away from gaming to be more focused on study for a little bit. But he's been working on some small games like the Island Saver DLC that he won with the Word Challenge and the new Turnip Boy game. He said it feels very different from the first game and not quite as fun, but still okay. But he wants to know, do we have any sort of sequels that spring to mind that are better than the originals? Obviously, Turnip Boy seems to be they're doing a different thing every single game, which is kind of cool and interesting. He kind of gives the example of people say Saints Row games kind of got better, at least as far as the first three. I feel like that's Saints Row is an interesting one because I like all four of them. Five, the first four basically. But all for different reasons, they're all for very, very different games. I feel like maybe 2 is probably better than 1 in particular, but 3 is kind of, I don't know. That one's maybe a bit more debatable. But does anything spring to mind for you guys around this is clearly the better game of the franchise that they kind of got it right in the sequel?
The one that springs to mind for me, and I wouldn't necessarily say, I will say most people would say this is a better game. Titanfall 2.
Okay.
Titanfall 1 in terms of a concept and all that and being very much, your multiplayer-based game. 2 leading in, cleaning up the list, making it, having a decent story. Immensely enjoyable. I think the only difficult achievement is probably the what is it called?
Become the master.
Yeah, the running the
obstacle
kind of
course.
Yeah. And everything else is fine. But then the only thing you lose from that is you're not spending the same amount of time in multiplayer, which is, better for some people. But
There is a little bit of multiplayer achievements, but it's pretty light. Yeah.
I would have actually preferred more because that's one of the Titanfall's one of those rare games that comes along that I actually find myself super enjoying the multiplayer.
Only thing with 2 though is it felt like a lot of the maps are just reskins of 1. But I love the campaign. Campaign is so good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite first FPS campaigns ever made.
Yeah. Every single level was something interesting. Affecting Cause was still one of the most interesting levels I've ever seen in a video game in terms of how they built that around that mechanic of how does this work? How do you do something in one and then change to the other and have it actually work? If you haven't played that game, it's well worth it because they'll probably never make a third one, unfortunately.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm hoping to reverse psychology Respawn into basically proving me wrong.
Apex Legends in terms of what they've taken from Titanfall and put into that's pretty good.
I'm surprised they haven't put Titans in there as an event or something yet.
Well, they apparently they were exploring like doing some side project or something, but that was the one that got cancelled.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, like in terms of, I wish Apex got more character achievements, just as a reason to go back, because I miss games that have that kind of gameplay. And I know I can play it without achievements, but what's the point?
Yeah, it's true.
I have an interesting one.
Yep.
I don't know if it's that the sequels were better, but they made the entire franchise better. But Spyro, because you have the trilogy, right?
Yeah.
And I love Spyro too. Like, it's great. I love that game so much. But like, all of the 3 games together are kind of just perfect.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because I was looking down my list of like Xbox games that I've rated highly to look for like sequels, and like the Spyro Reignited trilogy is on there, like the remake, right? And like we're not specifically talking about remakes here because that's not really.
But
a
like
sequel,
it's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning like even when you originally played them, I still remember playing the first and the second game, and even like starting the third game and loving the sequels because it was just a continuation of the same Spyro game.
Yeah, I think 2 is probably my favorite as well, actually.
Yeah.
For somebody who hasn't played the Spyro games, is there much of like a progression of, like, I guess quality of improvements over the games?
Yeah, kind of. It's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
the first game, yeah.
I was gonna say I kind of just look at games in the era of just being like formula.
Like they're similar games, but they introduce new things in the second one and then again in the third. So like you go from the first game where you're just playing as this cute little Spyro dragon and you get to like flame shit and like headbutt things, and that's great. And then in the second game they introduce new things, like you get to do the super speed and you get to have the flying and you get to do the wall climbing and things like that. So they introduce a whole bunch of new stuff in the second game that you don't have in the first.
It's
so they
jarring
do improve
enough.
on it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I was gonna say it's jarring enough to where when I go back and play Spyro 1, I forget that you can't do those things.
I think
like
you can't swim in the first game. Like you touch water and you just die.
Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, like that's not in this one.
Yeah, the second one they were like, hey, all of these things that people like were kind of iffy about the first game, and the first game, like I love the purity of the first game. Like it's such a PlayStation ass game when you go back and play it, where it's like it's way more open world. And you just kind of go into the level and just kind of explore and do shit. But there isn't really like a kind of a thread going through it. Whereas like 2 and 3, they were like, hey, here's like a little mini narrative per world. Like it's not deep or anything, but it's like, hey, here's a little mission for you to go on. Like, hey, this guy needs some help doing this, or he needs to, hey, I need you to get from one end of the level to the other, and you need to like do all this along the way or find the collectibles. It's kind of a little bit more streamlined in a way that's like kind of, I don't know. It's got slightly more of a mission structure to it, and 3 is like even more in that direction, where they kind of added some narrative, added characters who talk to you. Because the first game is just like you just wandering around, and occasionally you'll run into a dragon that you find that's been crystallized, and he'll say one voice line, and that's it. And then you just kind of play the rest of the level. Whereas it kind of turned it more into like a world. And yeah, being able to swim in the second game made such a huge difference, especially because like it changed the worlds quite a bit.
Kind of reminds me of,
honestly, it was like sorry.
I was gonna say, it kind of reminds me of like how I feel like going back to Kingdom Hearts 1 after 2. Like the improvement is just so immense to me that 1 feels difficult to play, or not as enjoyable in terms of. I feel like
that is a really good answer, like for this question as well. I think it's interesting because you kind of have scenarios where you have a game that doesn't really find its feet with the first game. Like the classic example that everyone talks about is Assassin's Creed, right? Where it's like everyone's like, Altair, you are an assassin. Now go and collect 480 flags. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then the second game, they were like, yeah, okay, let's just kind of trim that shit out. Let's let you swim. Again, swimming seems to be a theme in these first games, of just not being able to swim.
No, we got swimming lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Get swimming lessons. Like you only have to collect like 100 feathers. Like let's do a slightly more interesting story with more varied content. Like they nailed it on all fronts. I still think Brotherhood is maybe a slightly better game than 2, but that's kind of up for debate. So there are some games that are like the first game is kind of like not the best, but the second one kind of knocks it out of the park. And then you have stuff that's like good, but just keeps on improving as it goes forward. And then you get like Kingdom Hearts, which is, I feel like the second game is probably the best of that entire series, but they've had so many games that are worse than it, unfortunately. Like,
I think 3 could have been a better game, but I think the gap between 2 and 3 was just so immense that.
But there are also a bunch of games, like the sort of spin-off project
ones,
stuff in there that also were not as good.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do with 4.
Because, like, we all kind of agree that the Spyro sequels were great, but if you then look at, because that's PlayStation, right, originally?
Yeah.
What about Banjo-Kazooie?
I think Banjo-Tooie is such a downgrade.
It's such a downgrade.
Really? I was gonna say I thought Banjo-Tooie sick, but I think Banjo-Kazooie, the first one, was just like a banger classic.
Yeah.
That it didn't need any improvement, but I think Tooie still goes hard.
I think the main thing for me between Kazooie and Tooie is the fact that the level design in Kazooie just feels so crisp, especially for like a new IP. Tooie, I played these games originally back when, I was like single digits.
Mm-hmm.
Tooie as a kid is just so difficult to navigate, in my opinion. Whereas in Kazooie it was like very, not linear, but like hub worlds and it just made sense for like a kid to play.
I tend to agree. Full disclosure, I didn't have an N64 as a kid, so I missed out on a lot of the stuff. So I kind of rediscovered it through the 360. So like Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, like I played Kazooie, when it first came out on the 360, and then I didn't play Tooie for ages until Rare Replay actually. And yeah, Tooie just, the level design is just not as interesting, and I think the thing where it's like learning, I don't know, the new ability stuff is always a little bit weird for that game. I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't quite click as well as the first game does. But because it's like a lot of like you need to jump between worlds and there's a lot of shortcuts between them as opposed to them just being individual hubs on their own.
Yeah.
Which I think is like depends on like what kind of game you like. But
where did the development timeline go for the Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie? Where did Donkey Kong 64 fit in there? Did that come before Kazooie, or was that in between Kazooie and Tooie?
And actually, I think that you actually bring up a fantastic point where it's, I think what happened is that like Donkey Kong Country got to the level of like, hey, this is a collectible platformer with like a million characters, and you have to be certain characters to get certain collectibles. And it was like I don't mind collectathons too much, right? But that's the extreme level where it's insane.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say like Banjo-Kazooie is kind of like is a collectathon, and then Tooie is like kind of halfway between both of those, where it's just maybe a little bit too much.
Isn't Donkey Kong 64 like one of the biggest collectathons?
It's probably the classically cited example for collectathon platformers. Yeah,
it might be.
Played a little bit of it.
A really cool game though.
Fantastic game, amazing, chef's kiss. Mwah.
Yeah. That's such a. Yeah, I would like to. I
want Diddy Kong Racing.
Everyone's Diddy Kong Racing. That game's great.
Yeah.
I just love Crash Team Racing. That's like my OG.
Yeah.
Crash is great. Yeah, Moon's on point out. Yeah, 64 wouldn't is better if you could collect all the bananas and all the Kongs. Exactly.
Yeah, that helps.
Any other examples, guys?
Yeah, the one I first thought of was Jak 2. Compared to Jak and Daxter.
I was just thinking about that game the other day. I was like, man, I fucking miss that shit. Back when Naughty Dog used to make good games.
Yeah. What was that, Char?
I miss Sly Fox.
Oh yeah, that's another banger. Two, I would argue is also a huge improvement over the first game.
Yep, agreed.
That's agreed. For sure.
That era was really good for that kind of stuff,
wasn't it? It's those nostalgia games.
I don't know how I feel about Ratchet going Commando compared to the first one. I don't know if I'd call that one an improvement. I feel like the original Ratchet is just such a classic, just such a banger classic.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the first games I played in like 60 FPS because I was thinking about this the other day because I was like kind of doing some like comparison videos because I've been playing Persona and kind of like I played it on the PC at 30 and then played it on the Xbox at 60 and I was like, man, I don't know how I play anything at 30. And I remember when I first got Ratchet and Clank the original, and I was like, "The fuck is going on with this game? It looks weird as shit." And like as a kid, I just didn't understand the concept of like 60 FPS. I was like, "This game looks like too smooth. I feel uncomfortable looking at this." And then I eventually realized I was like, "Oh no, actually, like this is. It's just it looks like it's in motion correctly."
Yeah.
I think I do think Going Commando is probably an improvement from a mechanical point of view. I mean, they added like weapon upgrades and like health upgrades and stuff. Like they kind of expanded on a lot of the mechanics. I think maybe I think Up Your Arsenal is maybe not. I think is kind of maybe a little bit of a downgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I love that period of time where it was like Sucker Punch, Naughty Dog, and Insomniac could just do no wrong on the PlayStation, and they would just put out banger after banger after banger.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. 100%.
I just thought of the best upgrade, the Crew 2.
I'll talk about that. Yeah.
I got to do that one now that I'm done with the first one. I guess the other ones I thought of too were, I don't know if these are probably unfair because of their generational sequels. Is from, I was thinking Final Fantasy 1 NES to our US Final Fantasy 2, what we got in US, so 4. But that's like such a huge jump. And then Metroid to Super Metroid, but again, incredibly large.
Metroid to Super Metroid was one that, because I saw that you've been working on some of the retro achievement stuff, and I was like, Super Metroid is such a fantastic game.
Yeah, 100%.
Because Cameron, you asked me like what's the best Metroidvanias, or what are considered to be the best Metroidvanias the other day, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about like kind of like, well, it's like
not include Super Metroid and Soten.
I was gonna say it's like unfortunately it's like oh, what are the best what are the best Metroidvanias ever made? And you're like, well, the first two.
So maybe the two that defined the genre.
And Symphony of the Night are basically the two best ones.
They were so good, we just didn't make any.
I was gonna say they built an entire genre off of these two games, and they've never topped them, unfortunately.
Yeah. Never matched.
I mean,
come close. I'd say they've come close, but God, they hold up so good, man. I'm playing through Zero Mission right now, which is like a pretty adjacent to Super Metroid, and it's just so good. And I played Soten a few years ago. I'm just like, this game's such a banger.
Yeah, I played through the Japanese version of it back when I managed to get access to it, and I was like, this is just, it's still so fucking good. Even if the bosses are too easy, that's like the one problem with that game.
I thought of another one. This kind of is unfair as well in terms of generational leaps, but Alan Wake.
Oh yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's not a direct sequel, but just the fact that Remedy's kind of just done the cinematic universe kind of stuff.
It's such a different game, but yeah.
I was going to ask actually, anyone who's played Alan Wake 2, how's that as an example? But
fucking amazing.
It's incredible, yeah. It's game of the year for sure.
But can we really judge that based on the fact that the difference in time frame of when the first one came out and when the second
it's been a good 14 years now.
Because Alan Wake 2 feels more like a direct sequel to Control.
It does. Yeah, and in terms of that, 100%, I think Alan Wake 2 was better than Control.
Yeah.
But only from a couple of things.
I think there are some things that aren't as good.
Yeah, Control is amazing. Like if we're not comparing them directly, Control's amazing on its own.
Yeah.
But if we were treating it, say, Control and then Alan Wake 2 being a sequel of Control.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird because
Control was just huge and massive, and the map system was confusing, and the story was okay, but the story was better in Alan Wake 2 because it was so much more
but I enjoyed it. I think the combat and a lot of other stuff in Control
that's true.
Probably better than
there's different things about each game, but
see, Control.
I still have to play both of them because I'm
comment for
living
today.
under a rock.
Control just leads to so much creativity, though. Like in terms of
it does. Yeah, you can customize so much more.
I've seen so much like SCP project stuff coming across timeline, and just like the amount of stories that you can write in the world of Control. Well, I mean it's the same universe, but
I think I'm looking at my list here. I'll quickly fire a few. Gears of War 2, I think, is a vast improvement over the first game in every regard.
Yeah.
Three is maybe debatable, but I think two is where they just fucking nailed it. Mass Effect 2, also another fantastic sequel. I know some people will definitely disagree with me because
I'm not a Mass Effect guy. It's fine. It's fine.
I like the first game a lot, and I know that they Gears award it a little bit too much for some people in the second game, where they kind of casualized it to make it more of a shooter. Yeah. But I think that, I think that they kind of nailed it though, because I think the first game
most of the community would agree with you too. I think like the RPG purists will hate it because the first game is much more of an RPG than the second one. But I think they kind of streamlined it. 3 again is kind of a step back.
Actually, Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is. I was waiting for that one. That
took you way too long to get.
Yeah, I was waiting.
I was thinking about it before, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Even someone commented it in the chat, like right at the start of this
Bulbasaur did. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw that too.
Yep.
Portal 2, I think, is a fantastic sequel to the first game and improves on it in pretty much every way.
Do Smash Brothers Melee?
Yes, 100%. Yes. Witcher 2, I think, is a vast improvement over the first game.
That's not hard. It's not hard to be better.
No, it is not the first game. The Witcher is probably the best example for this question ever, because the first game really is rough. I mean, it's like a fantastic concept, but fuck me, that game is hard to play. And then 2 was like a really, really good refining of that, and then 3, they kind of realized their vision.
Yeah. I'm stoked they're remaking Witcher 1, because I want the story, but I just can't sit through that game. It's so rough.
Totally agree.
I have a high tolerance for jank, and that game is like too jank for me.
Call of Duty.
Does Nier Automata count as a sequel?
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
It depends who you ask. Because technically,
it's Nier Replicant, but
which is also a sequel to Drakengard. So I guess
I was gonna say that's
there's a whole rabbit hole there.
What about Reroll?
The Drakengard's were rough. Katamari Reroll?
Yeah.
We Love Katamari. That's the sequel. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think actually.
Oh, sure.
Because you raved about that, Matt.
Yeah, I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Black Ops 2 is probably one of the best. Like just going off the sequel of Black Ops. I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could be here forever. There are a lot of really good sequels out there. I mean, it's not like movies where usually the sequel sucks. It's like because video games have such a tie to not just story but also mechanics and graphics and other things.
Yeah, and gameplay.
Yeah, that can be tightened up, and technology can make games just straight up better. Where it's like sometimes it's like outside of maybe The Godfather 1 and 2, 2 being kind of the perfect sequel. Like this, like anytime you bring up a sequel to a movie, there's usually a bit of debate around like whether it was better than the original, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas like most of the time when it comes to video games, it's usually relatively clear. And most things that people like compare are usually like, oh, was the story is good than the sequel? Like I was like Psychonauts 2 is a clear, like is so much better than the first game. And Psychonauts I love the first game to bits, but mechanically that first game plays like ass.
It's so funny. Like when this question was when you kind of first brought up the question, I was like, oh man, this is going to be so hard. And as we're getting into it, I'm like, well, wait a minute, like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. Like when there's a bad sequel, you fucking hear about it.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but I know of at least one game with a bad sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Life is Strange.
I mean, but
this is weird though. Like it dips.
Because it dips. Yeah, exactly. Because I was like,
it does dip.
I was just thinking the same thing of
amazing.
Forza Horizon. Like Forza Horizon is such a good game. Then 2 is a dip. 3 goes back up. 4's amazing, and then 5 goes off a little. Even though everybody loves it.
I don't have a horse in this race because I make hating on Life is Strange one a hobby. Like any opportunity I have to shit on that game.
All right, can we just cut his mic? We can just cut out and just.
But hey, okay, I'm on board with this with Jake in terms of the first one because I didn't like the first one, but I think that's because I found Max super fucking annoying and I just could not get over that.
I can.
The
I just
character for Max just irritated the fuck out of me, and that just took me out of the game.
I
And was
replayed
like,
one
"This is
recently,
fine."
and I kind of agree. Unfortunately, I loved it at the time, but
I think I convinced like I was actually very recently because again I make this a hobby of mine. I was in a group with a group setting with somebody talking about how much they loved Life is Strange 1, and literally as soon as they brought it up, I was just like, oh, I fucking hate that game. We're like, what do you mean it's so good? And I just got into it and like just all the reasons, like the dialogue is garbage and you can like feel the writers through the dialogue, and it's like feels like out of touch middle-aged 35 40-year-old dudes writing to
talking about some sort of high school
teenage girls, and it's just like you just feel
this
everything.
Is totally what teenage girls do. Yeah.
And I think by the end of it, he was like, yeah.
This reminds me of a conversation I had about Face Off, which I was like, the classic Nicolas Cage, John Travolta movie. That is a bad movie. Like, it is a bad movie, and I've convinced many people just by talking about that movie that it's like how fucking terrible it is. I love it, but it is fucking terrible.
It's like people at the moment trying to say that Madam Web is good.
Yeah,
and
well, okay, let's not get too crazy. I mean,
I was just gonna say to that point though, the guy that does Doofenshmirtz and Phineas and Ferb came out saying like, I kind of want to watch this movie now. It must be a viral marketing campaign. Because everybody's just talking about how bad this movie is.
Yeah, okay, but is it like Morbius?
They didn't even say it's Morbin time in this one. So,
it's worse than Morbius.
Okay, all right, wow.
It's lower rated.
You're saying it's the new room.
But okay,
so
but you can't compare to The Room because The Room is a cult classic, and it is so fucking bad that it's amazing.
And Tommy Wiseau thought he was making art, so like
that's the best part about it. Tommy Wiseau was just like
so
completely oblivious to.
You know, he did like a really short-lived online video series where he interviewed aliens about things.
Yes.
Oh dear.
It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
And we shall not mention his name because he might come after us.
Yes, yeah.
I just thought of 3 games.
Yes, let's do these last 3 off and then we'll get into news.
Borderlands?
Okay.
Yes, agreed.
Watch Dogs?
Yep, also agree.
Agree.
The other one was Crackdown 3.
Ooh.
I really enjoyed Crackdown 3.
I like Crackdown 3, but the first one is where it's at.
I have no comment on Crackdown 3 because I'm now stuck with it on my tag. So, you know.
That one missed me. I played the first one and I just wasn't about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like Terry, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Maybe if
everybody loves Terry.
Person to play it with, it'll be better.
I feel personally victimized that Kevin Hart is playing
Roland in
rather
the Borderlands movie.
Oh,
that movie looks rough.
Terrible, dude. I saw somebody pull they redid the trailer. They pulled the sound or like all the voices out of it, and then put them back in with like that KG Elephant song, and it helped a little bit, but the casting is just so wrong, dude.
Lilith's meant to be like a 20-year-old. What? Doesn't.
Yeah, right. I'm like, why is Lilith like 40 something? Why is Roland like? So of course, Roland, the character known for his quick quips and witty banter,
the stoic soldier. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, this is those.
So we're gonna have to watch it for lights, camera, and action when it comes out. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
I think I remember saying to somebody that watching that felt like some 20-something intern explained the concept of Borderlands to like a suit, and the suit was just like, let's roll with it then. Sweet, let's go.
Yeah, this video game.
I just replaced the 20-year intern with Randy Pitchford.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much what happened. He was like, man, I got a magic trick to show you. And then he, actually, I'm not going to get into that story because I'll get banned on Twitch.
Oh, dear.
All right. Yeah, let's get into the news. I guess our first story is going to be what we talked a little bit about last week, where the 4 games that were rumored to be coming to other consoles has been confirmed.
Yeah.
What do we got, Cameron?
All right. So just, quick rundown. So we accurately guess Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, Pentiment, and Sea of Thieves. Pretty much open kept secret. Sea of Thieves is going to launch on PS5 for April 30th. It's going to be very interesting to see what type of trophy list they get. Because if
yeah,
they
actually,
don't
considering...
get the discontinued, I'm going to be pissed. Which
I don't think they will.
I've got other comments about Sea of Thieves achievements again. It's my favorite thing to bash on. Pentiment coming to Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5 on Feb 22nd. I'm kinda... Pentiment to me should also come to Android and iOS.
Yeah.
I think if it's possible, that it should just be on every platform. Hi-Fi Rush got announced for PS5 for March 19th, and it's available for pre-purchase now since Feb 21st. No Switch announcement, which has made people theorize that Hi-Fi Rush might be coming to the Switch too.
Oh, okay.
So maybe the hardware's a bit too old because you would have to run on 50. You'd have to run 60 locked. Because ribbon games fall apart if you don't have a capped frame rate.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Is the Switch 2 for sure a thing?
Yeah.
I have not paid attention.
I don't know.
The Switch 2 is a sure thing. The rumor is now that it's going to be released Q1 2025.
Yeah, it got pushed out of holiday, basically.
Apparently, the announcement's in June now.
Yeah, well, the rumor was that apparently a bunch of devs who are working on games for it got told to push their release dates because they don't. The rumor is that Nintendo doesn't have they're not happy with the first party lineup for it yet.
Okay.
They want to they want some more development time to work on Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever the fuck else they put out. Maybe Metroid Prime 4.
Mario Odyssey 2 would be a good
just putting it out there, maybe. Yeah. It's only been like...
That'd be sick.
Metroid Prime 4, apparently, I think, according to Grub, was meant to be coming out this year.
I mean, great. Fucking, I'll believe it when I see it.
But you know the amount of time... Grub had to shake his head when he got that bet wrong.
Yeah.
Grounded, coming to PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch on April 16th. Crossplay will be supported across Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC, which is great news. And then Sea of Thieves, the Shared World adventure game from Rare, will be coming to PlayStation on April 30th. They said that they've built a passionate community around 35 million players around the world. And the support of crossplay for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC will allow players to experience epic pirate adventures with friends on more platforms.
Right.
Yeah. Sea of Thieves achievements is the only thing I'm a little bit iffy on.
You never know. They may fix it. They have been doing some stuff with it already.
Just, the idea of a first-party game on PlayStation being completable, but not on Xbox, doesn't sit well.
Yeah, that is a little fucky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of funny thing about, but...
well.
I mean, they've clearly demonstrated their ability to change achievement requirements before, even within Sea of Thieves very recently. Robbie is pissed about it, but anyway.
Of course. But Robbie did all of that work to, sort Sea of Thieves. So, that's kind of valid.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So, but the moral of the story, they clearly can do that. So,
yeah.
I mean, they changed the requirements, what was it, a month or two after launch?
Yeah.
Dropped back the
they dropped quite a few of them,
Yeah, that's true. I forgot it. Well, yeah.
The requirements were insane.
Yeah, it feels like such a weird line in the sand of all right, we're going to drop back the requirements, but then we can't change the requirements for
the arena stuff, yeah. It's weird.
Next story, IO's unobtainable Xbox achievements finally got fixed after 7 years. So people in the...
Speaking of achievements getting changed.
Yep.
Perfect segue.
Is it Project Reservo Discord? I can't remember. Somebody's going to correct me. And essentially...
Reservo?
Vudix's server, essentially. He's been working on getting the IO achievements fixed. The two originally were expandable and big expanded, which are now being updated to It's Showtime for completing level 100, and Nutra Whipped pops when completing level 200. So both named after It's Showtime and another member of the community. The buggy achievement for Big Shot has also been updated to unlock more reliably. After spending 2.5 years working with Gamius on a fix, Bug says he is now ecstatic with the result and explained that while the overall solution was relatively simple, it was a different fix from what he originally planned. We wound up filing for an exception policy which would allow us to implement fixes through the cloud service configuration in Microsoft Partner Center. This is a pretty niche solution we had to gain access to. We had access to thanks to the game being released between 2013 and 2018. So there's certain achievements during that time that have cloud service configuration, which I think is why, like at the start of the Xbox One generation, a few games like were a bit more slower to unlock.
Sure,
Because
you
it was
got that like
hitting a server kind of
done thing
Yeah.
where it was filled up, but you didn't get the achievement. Yeah.
Oh, the done unlocking. Yeah.
So I know Vidic said there's a few of those that he's going to be able to approach now. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. As what the fix involved, Vidic said he's noted issues with certain stats being depreciated and decided to use the error to repurpose the achievements. These stats still worked but aren't tracking as intended. Vidic said he used the unintentional tracking to make it so the player is only required to complete certain levels with an additional greater than check, so the players could simply come in, complete level 0202 and get both achievements.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it'd be pretty good to see the other stuff that he's going to.
Floodgates are open.
Yeah, hopefully.
At least the cloud-based stuff.
Yeah. The hurdle is learning the method, but I mean that's what people are saying. He's cracked the code, and we can. The hardest part at this point would be getting the owners of the right owners to the games to be on board with.
Yeah,
As long
that's
as people are okay with it, it's essentially like some of them just don't want to go back to it.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Oh,
some of them don't exist anymore. Like
I was going to say,
I would love to get fixed. That studio's just gone.
I'd love to get Indivisible fixed.
Yeah,
just that fucking DLC.
But that's just tied up with legal stuff. But then the fact that Indivisible, anything that coming back into Game Pass has a little bit more weight on it. They need to be taking it more seriously. But
agreed.
All right.
I wonder what the process looks like for a studio that's evaporated, so they don't have like their support lines anymore. But like somebody still owns those rights, and all Voodix did for IO was acquire rights. So I'm curious what that would look like to a studio that's closed, still finding the right holder and being, hey, can I, you want to do a transfer of rights? I'll buy them off you and I'll fix some stuff.
At the end of the day, he just wants the achievement fixed. He doesn't care. Like some of them, he has to purchase the rights for, but whatever's going to be the easiest. All right, next one. There was a Kingmaker's trailer that went super viral on Twitter this week. Essentially, it was medieval knights being mowed down with assault rifles and airstrikes, and
it was fucking ridiculous.
It was just such a crazy trailer. So Pixel Dash Studios, the developer behind Road Redemption, has unveiled its next game, Kingmakers, an action strategy sandbox game that has you shooting your way through huge simulated medieval battles by time travel. It's only been announced for PC so far, but the developer seems it could be coming to Xbox Series X and S, making one of the most anticipated Xbox games of the year. Not really much else to this. I just wanted to quickly chuck it in there because, go and check out the trailer. It's one of the best viral trailers that I've seen in a while. And you can that's a video game I want to play.
Do you think we can post it into the server?
Stephen put it up the other day, but we can repost it.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. Well, we're checking out.
According to the description on Steam, you're the last hope of a dying world and must travel 500 years into the past to change the outcome of a bloody war in medieval England to create a new timeline and stop the apocalypse. It supports up to 4-player co-op, which I haven't seen anybody talking about yet. Tasking you and your friends with storming castle walls and defending your own strongholds with an arsenal of weaponry that includes assault rifles, grenade launchers, armored SUVs, attack helicopters, and airstrikes, to name a few. The battles are fully simulated in real time as thousands of soldiers react to your decisions as you flip between combat, issue orders to your team, build fortifications, and more. Pixel Dash says that it's using next-gen multi-threaded AI to control the NPC's decision-making, pathfinding, and loyalty. This combined with a unique procedural animation system allows Kingmakers to offer an unprecedented level of character and combat fidelity.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is literally just that meme where it's like, hey, it's like let's put like 10,000 knights up against 100 Navy SEALs, who would win? And people just argue about it in the comments and like, hey, let's just make a fucking game about that shit.
Total accurate battle simulator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just tabs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I'm super down for this. This sounds like fucking.
Yeah.
This sounds like that fucking. What was that horrific game on the 360 where you got an achievement for punching a horse?
What?
It was the Darkest of Days or something.
I don't know.
There is an achievement for that. I know about it because we talked about it, Matt.
Yeah, a long time ago. Darkest of Days? Yeah, Darkest of Days was the one where it was like you would go back with it's like you're a time traveler and you would go back to like the Roman times with a fucking AK-47 and just blowing away legionnaires and shit. It was a weird fucking game. It's got I gave it a 2. I gave it a 2 out of 2 stars.
Just to quickly mention, so we had a troll in the chat. I've got time saying talk about RuneScape, talk about RuneScape, talk about RuneScape. So I banned them and I put down the reason as go play yourself some RuneScape.
Yeah.
Hey, you ruined my fun. I was trolling them.
I
I
was
asking them, what's that?
I gave him free
What is
time.
RuneScape?
I gave him 3 messages.
Stop feeding the trolls.
Same,
All right.
same. I also allowed it.
Yeah.
I do think RuneScape is the best MMO ever released. Not even close. So I'm also so down to talk about RuneScape for like a good 45
I'm good.
minutes. Like we can do.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
so good.
Let's ban
You
the
sure?
troll
You
and then
sure?
have a 5-minute conversation about
Yeah,
RuneScape.
we'll get into talking about
honestly.
MMOs in a minute here.
Best sequel, RuneScape to RuneScape Classic, very
Yeah.
clearly.
Uh,
And here's my 45-minute dissertation as to why. All right, see you guys next
In
week.
this video essay,
I
I
played
will.
RuneScape back in the day, but I do not care for it.
I played a lot of it as a
Oh,
kid
dude.
because it was free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
played it for like
It still
maybe
goes hard.
I'm gonna
months.
tell the story because hopefully my brother doesn't listen to this, but whatever. My
tell him.
so I played RuneScape as a kid. My brother obviously is about 4 years younger than me. He also started playing RuneScape because he saw I was playing it, right? He made himself a female character. I think he called it like Cool Babe or something like real like the kind of thing that you would put on a fake ID as a joke. Because he was like, yeah, people just keep giving me stuff, so I was just like, all right. So I just made it, and it was so funny because he was just too young.
Girlfriend, dude.
Yeah, exactly. He just didn't get it. Like, so he was just like, yeah, people just keep giving me like free shit because they thought I was a chick, and I was like, I was at the age. I was like, I just don't. You're too young for me to explain this to you in a way that won't scar you for
Way to do
life.
it.
I
So-
don't want to have the birds and the bees talk.
Exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's not go down the grooming track.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
Oh dear.
But yes, let's talk about Age of Empires, Cameron, because I know you're chomping at the bit. So some fucking news about some RTS bullshit got announced. What's
All right, so there was quite a bit of Age of Empires news yesterday. They dropped a whole massive event. Where do I begin?
It all started in 1999.
Maybe at the start.
With a little
So-
game.
usually they
Alright.
start with the Battle of Hastings. I think it's traditionally how Age of Empire games start.
So I believe it was the 25th anniversary. I need to get my notes.
This is 25th. I spent out 1999
I wanna
off my
say
ass. Is that when the first game came
Probably
out?
about right.
It's either 25th
I know it was in the
or 30th
90s.
anniversary.
Mm.
Essentially, what got announced is Age of Mythology is coming this year, which was one of my favorite games of all time. And me and Matt were having a conversation the other day in a party of like, what games are coming out this year? Like, and we were joking of like, we say this now, then the back of the end, like the last half of the year was just flooded, and we've got too much to play.
Yeah, for last year, yeah. But this year,
Yeah.
we'll see.
And I made a comment of like, I don't care whatever comes out this year as long as I get Age of Mythology. And like a day or two later, Age of Mythology coming 2024.
Yeah.
There's also a new DLC coming out for Age of Empires 2 because God forbid they ever let me finish that game. It's like
You keep trying to get people to start it, and every time they add a DLC, everyone's like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need that on my tag."
this is like the
Wait, sorry, what game?
Age of Empires 2. The
They came out in
greatest
DLC
RPG.
for Age of Empires 2?
Wait,
Yeah, they
is
keep-
it the one that you get in the Newt Green box?
Yes, that's the one. Actually, fuck me, that is a throwback.
You know what?
Holy shit.
So
I got you.
I actually had a conversation with Xbox ANZ about like, hey,
Mhm.
could I get like one of those boxes? And they're like, it's just
Wallolos.
Cheerios in a painted box.
The Wallalos, yeah.
So then when I
Wallolos.
completed the game again, I went out and got Cheerios.
There you go.
Valid.
Immersion.
That's so fun. I didn't know they were still like adding like
Yeah, okay,
penalties and
so,
shit. That's kind of sick. Not even gonna lie.
So those CDs that used to get in the Nutri-Grain boxes, just FYI, we were at my aunt and uncle's house in January, and we were clearing out some of one of our siblings' things, and there was a box of just stuff, and we were like going through it, and then we found this stack of CDs, and they're all those they were all of those Age of Empire games and like a bunch of other random CDs of like games that we'd got somehow in free gifts, and we're like, wait, do you think they still work?
They might do.
Think
I mean,
of, like the other games that
Who has a CD drive though in their computer anymore? I don't.
that's
You
true.
can buy an external for like $20.
Code, that's
External
true.
USB. Did you guys ever get? Because you might not have, because I doubt a CD like this would exist in the ANZ world. But did you guys ever have the Waffle Crisp Doom clone?
I know what you're talking about. And I have played it, but I didn't get it in the cereal box because we don't have.
I had that in the out of the
It's
cereal
like the
box.
Chex
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Yeah, but it was
Oh my
it was
God.
Waffle Crisp, and it was like it was a Doom clone with the Waffle Crisp guys, and you'd like, yeah, it was crazy, absolutely crazy.
It's so
I'm trying
weird
to
the stuff they
think of
brought
the
out
I
on
want Nutri-Grain now.
Nutri-Grain. God, I haven't eaten Nutri-Grain in a lot. I used to eat that a lot as a kid.
Oh, so I used to eat it dry.
Yeah, me too.
No, we're
I
going
don't-
into food. Okay, yeah, let's.
I was gonna say,
Age of
you know,
Empires.
Yeah, back to Age of
Anyway,
Empires.
Cameron, Age of Empires.
We got bored, so we started talking
I'm
about food.
just trying to think if these were in the cereal boxes, but Pajama Sam, Freddy Fish,
Oh.
Spy
Oh,
Fox.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 They did.
They weren't in cereal boxes for us, but we did have them
Yeah,
as a kid. We had them on PC.
They did remasters, and I picked them up for Percy to play on the Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's sick.
that's
So
kind
they
of one of
have
those
found
games
them.
that I want to come to Xbox just so I can sit down with her and play.
Also
I want the
had,
Waffle Crisp Doom clone to come to Xbox, so
Yeah,
I can let you know
100%.
that.
I had a Teddy Bear's Picnic game at one point,
Yeah.
but I don't remember it. So I remember this because it was a floppy disk game, and it was before Commander Keen even came through, and I had Commander Keen on floppy disk as well, and it was just full Teddy Bear Picnic, and it felt like that Sam game, but it wasn't.
And then you said Teddy Bear Picnic.
Teddy
I'm
Bear
so
Picnic,
sorry.
and I
heard
can't
Teddy
find
Bear
it.
Picnic. I was like, what is
Teddy
that?
Bear
That's a whole
Yeah.
different thing. That's
Yeah,
a
that's-
Five Nights at Freddy's mod that you just
Yeah,
you
that's-
don't,
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
want to be caught streaming.
Yeah.
But
then a
anyway,
game
back to
called
Age of
Bop It.
Empires, Cameron.
Sorry, yeah.
I was just trying to find the other games that got put in like the cereal boxes. There was Supreme Snowboarding, V Rally 2, and Matt Hot.
So what you're saying is we've completely shifted gears.
We've now
Alright, going back to Age of
managed to get
Going back to Age of Empires.
managed to get Cameron on the tangent.
I was interested. So, in terms of Age of Empires 2 DLC, there was a DLC before this, which is the Return of Rome, which is then putting all of Age of Empires 1 into Age of Empires 2. That DLC I absolutely hated. It broke the game. I think like 2 days after launch, it was just loading into a black screen. The one before that, where they did like full-on like 500 unit battles, was amazing. The one that is coming out on March 14th is called Victors and Vanquished. Introduced in the show yesterday, it was created by Ramzi Abdul Hariam, and this DLC will be like no other that were made before, and will feature 19 epic scenarios that allow you to play as Ragnar Lothbrok, Oda Nobunaga, Charlie Mang, and more. Each scenario features professional voice acting, new music achievements, and the quality you expect from the official Age of Empires scenario.
It's so interesting to me that they're like, yeah, we brought up like Age of Empires 3 was kind of a misstep. There is some DLC for 3, I think, as well, right?
Yeah. They
but it's
also
like
announced DLC coming for free at the end of 2024.
Right. Yeah. So it's like 3 is kind of a misstep, and they brought up 4 to kind of try to bring it back more to 2, but everyone loves 2 so much they just keep bringing out DLC for it.
2
It's
is just like such a classic that everybody understands how to play.
Yeah.
4 to me, 4 to me is just a completely different game. Like, it's a great game,
Mm.
but it's more so the 2 is like multiple units, whereas in 4 is like more smaller scale, but like historical. Like
Right.
two is more about like combat and the gameplay, where 4 is like we're trying to do a history channel kind of thing, which I think is great in terms of playing the scenarios, but it's not like 2. You can just push it so much further. Age of Mythology is essentially 2, but with a whole bunch of god powers chucked in.
Yeah.
The campaign for 2 is amazing. The campaign for Mythology is amazing. Just going between all the different, I think it was Greek, Roman,
Norse. Yeah.
And then I think Chinese got added in the DLC.
Yeah, they had a DLC for it,
which
yeah.
I'd never played. So, there's also an Age of Empires mobile game coming out, which I need to look a little bit more into. But just from the short snippets of gameplay, it looks a lot like, you know, the Age of Empires online game that they did kind of felt like much a mobile game, collect things.
Yeah,
and build
simplified version, yeah.
This actually looks like an Age of Empires title.
Okay.
So I'm wondering how it plays. Other news is basically they're having a 50% off sale on the Windows Store and Steam, but it's fine because you got it through Game Pass. There's going to be a new Age of Empires 4 update and season that's going to add 2 new civs, 6 variant civs, and an all-new campaign, which I think is the only problem with 4. They're being very slow to release like the newer content. The Wolo Red Bull competition's happening again. Talked about Age of Empires 3 getting definitive edition. They celebrated 50 million players worldwide. The Sultan's Ascend for Age of Empires 4 is the best-selling Age of Empires expansion of all time. So Age of Empires 4, not 2. They managed 51 game updates last year. And their players performed 200 million Wolos, built 350 million castles, and employed 1.5 billion Valiant scout sheep.
Classic.
So yeah, it's weird because I kind of always think like I'm definitely in a minority for RTS games. I mean, it's that hard trying to convince anybody.
It's a PC genre, right?
Yeah.
That's the like.
Yeah, I'm more of a 4X guy than just like a true RTS, but I do love me a good RTS.
Yeah.
I just like, if I was better at them, I'd probably enjoy them more. It's the classic thing of like fighting games, racing games. You know, if I put more time into them and actually got a level of competency, I'd probably get a lot more out of them. But it's just that the entry point is quite difficult.
You make that argument though, and then this is how I got good at racing games. I just bled myself dry on them. That's how I.
Yeah, but it's like there's so much other shit to play. Like if I had nothing, like, to be fair, like I played a lot of Age of Empires and Empire Earth back in the day on the RTS because those were literally the only games I had on my PC.
I need to do Rise Nations, but like me growing up, it was Civ 3, Age of Empires 2. There was a tank game called Recoil, if anybody remembers that.
Oh yeah, I do. Yes, actually, I played Recoil. Yeah, I love that
Recoil
game.
was pretty good, and then the original Mafia game.
I played a lot of
Racing?
Heroes of Might and Magic 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Racing games are weird because I used to play them a lot as a kid, and then just they've been something that's been a part of my gaming life pretty much as long as I can remember. So I never remember getting good at them. So by the time in these modern ones where I'm playing like Forzas and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't play online, so I don't ever race real people. So I'm like, I'm probably pretty shit. Like, whatever. It's just a racing game. It is. And then I go to do the online achievements for some of the Forzas, and you're playing against real people. I'm just like, I'm smoking these people. Like, maybe I am actually really pretty good at racing games. So it's this weird skill gap that I've never been able to calculate. Because it's hard to really gauge how good you are at a game until you start playing against real people.
Yeah, exactly. Which I try to avoid as much as possible. So
same. So I always think I'm terrible, and then I go do the fucking the Forza Horizon 4 events where you have to do the ultimate ultra super try hard race for like the whole seasons
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I'm like, I'm finishing like first or second place every time. And I'm like, these are supposed to be the impossible AI and like the best, like other best players. And I'm like consistently first and second place. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm actually like I am decent at these games.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I figured something out here. I guess I don't know.
It's like Eliminator for me. Like I can't wrap my head around how people struggle to get a first in that game. And that's not me digging. Like
no. I know what you mean though. I know what you mean. It's an interesting one because the I've talked about this a lot, but like the Eliminator is one of those things where if I was doing regular races, I feel like it would be less of an issue. My problem with Eliminator is the fact that it takes a long time to get started. If you have a bad start, that can really spell doom for you at the end.
Yeah.
And you either go around eliminating a lot of people and opening yourself up to a lot of risk, because if you lose a race, you're done, or you stick around till the end and there's like 5 people left and you're one of them, but one of those people has a level 10 car and knows exactly where to go and basically, because the thing is you have to win. It's like I'll talk about this when we get to what we've been playing, but it's an interesting kind of difference between this and Motorfest. As for other news stories, do you want to quickly just touch on Final Fantasy maybe 14 and the cloud thing, and then we'll move on?
Yeah, cool. So yeah, Final Fantasy 14 open beta arrived on Xbox Series X and S for players seeking adventure in the lands of Irza. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I wish Kia was here.
We don't have Kia on this week, so.
Basically, they dropped a list that has 158 achievements with 3,080 game score. Kia's doing a wonderful job putting together guides, so if you're interested, we have a whole Final Fantasy 14 channel for players in the whole Discord. As revealed by Square Enix earlier this month, Final Fantasy 14 open beta will be available indefinitely, as it will be updated to the full release when Square Enix is ready. However, it's only available for players who haven't played the game before with their Square Enix account. It's completely free to play while it's in beta state, but the launch will require you to have Xbox Game Pass Core subscription at the very least. I think it's Core, and then it'll be a Final Fantasy 14 sub, right? Something like that.
Yeah, basically.
You can play Final Fantasy 14 free on any platform up till last I heard. They might have added more expansions. Last I heard, it was level 60.
Okay.
And then you need a sub.
It's like the first it's the first few expansions they give you for free, which is like 500 hours of content. They're easy.
Pretty much like how they do Destiny 2, then I guess.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, the other stuff I was going to say, like Sea of Thieves disabled Season 11 Xbox achievements. They've been sorted out now. There's a whole bunch of stuff that was unlocking very easily with the fast travel stuff. So they basically just made that whole list 0G and then put it in a new list. GTA 5 updated their achievements so they didn't become discontinued. Good that Rockstar knows what to do and Rare doesn't.
Yeah.
Or just a lot of developers. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That's all I've been, my entire achievement hunting life, all I've been asking for is like, you were shutting something down, just update the achievement requirement, please, to be still attainable.
I don't understand
clearly
how people
doable.
in those teams don't go, hey, these are going to make these achievements discontinued, which is going to lead to poorer sales.
Yeah.
Like, you want every...
Yeah, it's just,
dollar. And then the last bit of news is reliable Xbox leaker Phil Spencer.
Yes, I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah, confirmed through Discord that that they'll be adding another bonus for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subs in the form of people being able to play their Xbox games through Xbox Cloud Library. Not just the cloud. Not just the Game Pass games. Yeah,
sometime this year.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me about that is I've done cloud gaming and I've done console streaming, and I've always found console streaming perform better. Like I felt like if there were connectivity issues with console streaming, it was more just like an on-screen artifacting, which I can deal with. And if I had ever had connectivity with like cloud streaming, it was stuttering, lagging, like actual impacting my gaming session. So that's an interesting thing to me because I'm like, oh, that's cool, but like I've already been doing that with console streaming.
I'm interested to see how it goes because like I'm sure we'll talk about it a little to the left this week, but I finished up all the 100 dailies just using my Surface. and like doing
Yeah.
doing it through Surface was such a good thing. And I'm kind of trying to think of games that I own that I can like do in that kind of environment, like just lay in bed with like a tablet kind of thing and.
I guess the nice thing is, like, you still have to have these games installed. You have to turn your Xbox on and blah, blah, blah. It
Your
would be
Xbox
nice to
not
literally
to,
just.
yeah.
Not have
Xbox
to, like,
X not to be
install them
used by
all.
someone else, so you can fucking actually play something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, like, if your Xbox gets hard powered, like, if like you're 4 hours away on a trip and your Xbox loses hard power, like, there's nobody bringing it back. So I guess there is merit to being able to just, like, pull open your Surface and go, I want to play that game, and you click it and just magic. There
Party
it is.
Animals, for example, added the 2 tutorial achievements after like months after, I want to say, and it was like stand in front of a monument for 5 seconds, stand in front of like 4 pictures for a second each. I was like, I don't need to download another 10 gig just to quickly start that up and do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for news for the week. Game Pass updates. We have already joined the service. Return to Grace, Tales of Arise, Bluey the video game, which is 4-player co-op if you desire.
I'm going to keep that one aside for my next milestone, I think.
Yep. In terms of games coming out, we have Man-Eater re-entering on Feb 27th. Great game. Madden NFL coming to cloud through EA Play on Feb 27th. Indivisible reintroduced on Feb 28th. Space Engineers Feb 29th. Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun on March 5th, which I'm personally excited for. And Microsoft Flight Sim got a Dune expansion added in, which is available now. In terms of games...
What is Bolt Gun?
Bolt Gun's like the pixel art kind
It's a boomer shooter, like Doom style game.
Oh,
Yeah,
very, very good. Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of a mid game between. Yeah, we have similar kind of thing where it's a kind of story wise, it's a mid game between Space Marine 1 and 2 apparently.
Apparently,
that's
pretty
sick.
well.
I'm excited.
Yeah, in terms of games leaving, Soul Hackers 2 and Madden NFL 22. And we also got a hard confirmation of another Crab's Treasure will be added to Game Pass on April 25th. I played the demo at Gamescom last year. It was pretty solid. It's essentially going to be like your indie Souls-like.
There's one other you forgot there. Dead Island 2 got shadow dropped into Game Pass as well.
Dead Island 2, which is a great game with a terrible DLC. The most terrible DLC I have ever played.
Wow, that's okay. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
It's weird. The Dead Island 2 thing was weird because it just kind of it wasn't on any of the marketing. It just kind of showed up on the store.
Just like
people were
how
like,
can we soften the blow?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It was kind of it's very strange.
And then we'll see PS Now marketing next month have it.
Exactly, that's probably what it is actually. Yeah.
That would make the most sense.
All right. So. If you weren't aware for some reason, we are doing some themes each month. So we did the theme for February was racing games. So we got quite a few of them done over the month. So I think we did started with like a lot of Burnout Paradise. A lot of people doing a lot of Need for Speeds and Hot Pursuits and Rivals and the crew, a lot of crew chatter with that going down and everything like that. So it's good to see a lot of people playing that. And we'll sort of talk a little bit more about that, I suppose, in terms of like what we've been playing from that. But Cameron has come up with a new theme for March. Do you want to introduce it to us, Cameron?
Yeah, I was gonna just quickly touch on that.
If it's not MMOs, you're wrong. It could just be MMOs the rest of the year. Actually,
I mean, we could do MMOs
Wow.
one month.
Wow.
MMOs is a year-long theme, unfortunately, is the problem.
Yeah. Just going with the racing stuff and all that. Yeah, it's been good because a lot of us just knocked out the online for like Split Second, Burnout Paradise. What else is there? Been doing a lot of Need for Speed with Drag Frame this week.
Yeah, I got some help with the crew, which is really, really great. Like a lot of people either had it ready to go or able to install it to do some more of it, which is fantastic. So I really appreciate their help.
All right. So the theme month that I was kind of teasing, we had Shane with the Green Lantern glasses on in the Discord. So we talked about it in the staff chat this week, but it's essentially any game that is based on another form of media.
So an adaptation.
Yeah. So when we originally, when Keo came up with this idea, we were discussing books. So you've got like the Metro 2033 series. You've got Sherlock Holmes. Then we thought we would expand it out to like TV movies, comic books. And essentially, if you can think of any game that has an adaptation from another form of media and can show that, yeah, go for it.
I'd also be keen to hear like what your thoughts are about the adaptation. So like specifically if it's something that if it's a movie you've seen or a book you've read or anything like that, I would love to hear a bit of compare and contrast. Yeah. For example, I am playing Avatar. And I definitely have some thoughts. I will talk more. I don't know if I'll touch on too much this week, but probably next month, yeah, for sure.
I'll give you a few examples, like Sherlock Holmes, based on the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. World War Z, based on the book World War Z. Rainbow Six Siege is based on Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy. Sure. Talked about Metro series. Shadow of Mordor, if you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings. Spec Ops: The Line, based on Heart of the Darkness. Kira said
that one's a bit tenuous, but
that's
more thematic.
That's more thematic, but there's I can link to an article that says this is inspired by this, so it's fine. Like you could do Lost the video game based on the TV show.
You could do licensed video games is also an option.
Prison Break.
Oh, nice.
People
play some
Over the Hedge.
Yeah.
Over the
Bro, that, yeah.
Somebody needs to just do like all the like Over the Hedge, Brave.
What was that fucking moose one?
Cars. Brave.
What about Peppa the Pig?
Oh yeah, Bluey the video game.
Bluey, you do Peppa.
Yeah. I need somebody to do all those 360 licensed Disney games.
I have
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Ratatouille, yeah.
Man, Ratatouille.
Toy Story 3 is pretty good though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd be interested to hear kind of what people's take on adaptations and what the most popular ones are. Yeah, Cameron's given a good list there, but there are a lot of them out there. So, and yeah, like I said, I'd love to hear kind of what you think about the original piece of material that it's adapting as well. If you're looking for a really nice, easy one, the Telltale series do nothing but adaptations. So,
if you're looking for a good test your metal one, everyone go finish the Arkham series, the Batman Arkham series.
Yes, actually, maybe I'll put myself through that bullshit.
Free game.
Because everyone who's like, oh, I can't do it. The combat are so hard. No, they're not. Just learn. It's just like a dance. You're literally just mashing X, and then every now and again you're mashing B, and it's all just colors and dance. It's Bop It mixed with Simon Says. It's fine. It's not hard.
Okay.
You can do it.
I need to do Arkham City. Yeah, I've had it sitting there for a long time.
I want to do a Batman game because me and Neo have been playing through Gotham Knights, whether I get around to it or not. I want to do Metro Exodus, and I want to do The Darkness.
Great list. Yeah, it's a fantastic list. All right. Well, let's get into what we've been playing. Char, do you want to start with you?
Sure, because I haven't actually really been playing anything. But okay, hear me out. I took a small break. Not Market Simulator. Okay. I'm showing my Switch off now because I actually went back and started playing Pokemon Shield. And so I've been playing that a little bit, and then it was like, actually, I kind of want to just play nostalgia games again for a little bit. So I'm like, that's why I'm like on a Spyro kick, and then like, I'm even looking up to see what other like nostalgia games I can go back and play. But like, I've been really enjoying Pokemon Shield, and then everyone keeps talking about Power World, and I'm like, I don't want to touch Power World. I don't really want to go
overrated.
There. Yeah, I'm like, I like my classic Pokemon games, but yeah.
I'm curious because I've seen a lot of rating lists of Pokemon games recently. What is everybody's favorite Pokemon game here?
Crystal.
I'm with you there.
Pretty
Actually,
good.
for nostalgia reasons.
I was going to say Crystal as well.
Crystal's the right answer, unfortunately.
I think for feature fitness, like just like one of the better ones to play in terms of getting the most bang for your buck, Emerald.
Yeah, Emerald is
for me personally, I'd say Chris.
Controversially, I really, really like Let's Go Eevee.
I mean, this is the first game again, which is like, to be fair, a classic. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also connects with your Pokemon Go, and me and my friends are just getting back into Pokemon Go again, and so it's like there's this nice little tie-in. I enjoy Shield though, and Shield's a nice game because it's different from the other ones that come through. Like it's still a Pokemon game, but it's different, and it's not even like because Violet and Scarlet are all different again.
Yeah.
And I quite like my little. I get to run around, and it's like a different vibe of running around Pokemon because you have this big open area where you can go and hunt Pokemon in. You still have that same side-scrolling running around Pokemon side rather than top-down, but
I need to play some new Pokemons. The last Pokemon I played was Pearl, so I've missed a bit.
I think Emerald's probably the last one I really properly played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I own them all. I have every single mainline Pokemon in my collection.
The last one I played was the new Pokemon Snap on Switch.
Oh yeah, that was.
It wasn't great.
I played a couple hours of Let's Go Pikachu.
Yeah.
But the last one I really sat down and played through in Elite Four and then even post game was Pearl.
Yeah.
I did a national or regional Dex run of Emerald a couple years ago. But
they're making another 2 Let's Go games, aren't they? Like Togepi and Wooper.
Are they? Nah.
I think. I don't know if it's confirmed or not.
I was gonna say like Switch 2 could really, if it launches with a Pokemon game, that would be huge for it.
I mean, they should have a Pokemon game on it.
Yeah.
I would be down.
It would make sense.
Johto was my first region I owned. Crystal was my first Pokemon game. So that's probably partially why it's my favorite, but it's also just a banger.
Gold was my first Pokemon game, but then I went back and did Blue.
I did Yellow on emulator because I never owned I did everything through emulator or through PC because I never owned a Game Boy. And I only until I got my Switch, and then the first game I had on my Switch was Let's Go Eevee. So, but I played Yellow and then Emerald and Crystal on emulator.
What was it? Yellow and then the Pokemon trading card game, which I
love
which is
the
still
music.
active.
I love the music in the trading card game.
Trading card
good.
games,
right.
And then Gold, and then Crystal, and then I think Emerald. I can't remember much of Emerald.
Sapphire, I think, and then I played Emerald afterwards.
I used to give my brother crap because the same Christmas, he's older than me. 2 years older than me. And the same Christmas, we both got Pokemon games. My parents got me Crystal and they got him Silver. Of course, they had no idea.
Yeah, right.
No. Crystal was
That's
the
funny.
definitive version.
Know.
And we didn't either. We just knew they all existed. But then I was sitting there, I'd be playing Crystal and he'd be playing Silver. And I'd get to one of the Suicune scenes.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have it, and I would. And I'd be like, why do I have this? And you don't? What is
That's really funny.
Moonzom says Pokemon Stadium was where it was at, and I do agree. I hate to this day that I was one of the only kids with a GameCube, and I had
a lot of weird PlayStation games on the GameCube.
Yeah, I had the Pokemon games though.
Let me find that.
And I sold them off, and I'm like, I
Man,
sold the set for
so
$200.
much money.
I sold it all for $200.
I'm gonna share this into the Discord.
I'll see the next go for
because this is fascinating. And now that we're slightly on this, let me just figure out where I'm gonna just put it in chat.
The Pokemon DX or whatever it was, we had an Umbreon and an Espeon.
Yeah, there's Coliseum. You got the Coliseum and DX on the GameCube, and those both go pretty penny now.
There was there's this info sheet that has come out, and I found on Discord. Not Discord, Reddit. And it's top 10 best-selling games on every Nintendo console, which is kind of amazing, really. And it has all of the different breakdowns. But I'd love to see something like this for Xbox. That would be cool to see, right?
Yeah.
But it has Game Boy and Game Boy Color was Pokemon. Red, yellow, blue.
Red, green, blue, and yellow.
God damn, you just know Mario Kart 8 is just going to be the one that leads the Switch 2 generation as well.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, if they release Mario Kart 8 on the Switch 2, I'm done. I'm done.
They just keep bringing it out. They just will not die. It's so funny.
I mean...
Yeah, but it's the deluxe one.
The
funny thing is I got it free when I bought my Switch. Anyway.
Yeah, right. It's because it was a pack-in for a lot of Switches. Exactly the same.
It's crazy to think how many Switch games are just Wii U games repackaged.
Yeah.
That would be the first. This would probably be the first. Let me think. SNES, 64, GameCube, Wii. Yeah, this would be the first full console generation without an original Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
they did NES, 64, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, DS, Wii, 3DS, and Wii U.
So
And
there
then they
is
just
a
ported it
Mario
to the
Kart that
Switch.
has come out this generation, but it's Mario Kart,
Mario Kart World Tour or whatever. Is that what you're
which
talking
is like
about?
Mario Kart 9 internally, apparently.
Yeah. All
Mm.
right. Well.
Isn't that like a mobile game
Yeah, it's a
though?
mobile game.
Yeah, it's
That doesn't
not.
count. That's not a Nintendo console. This
Somebody,
isn't a Nintendo console.
No,
somebody
it's
still
not.
had to develop for it.
All right.
So,
What else
that
have
was
we
my
been playing?
tangent. That's all I've been playing. There you go.
All right.
Gotta catch them all.
I will touch on a few things quickly. I did the Crew 2 and Crew Motorfest. So I got both those games done. I had a really good time with all of them. My only issue really was just the Demolition Derby stuff for Motorfest, which is sort of their battle royale mode.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed it quite a bit more than I do the Eliminator, partly because it's quicker, it has power-ups, and it's squad-based. So like you have like teammates and you don't just all out there on your own. And I was like, man, Eliminator with squad mates would be kind of interesting.
Mm.
I don't know how it would work, but
Yeah, it's good that they're experimenting with it. It's just the player count for Motorfest is so low because they
that's the biggest issue. Yeah, like we didn't have a full lobby ever. We only got like half. I think it was like 16, maybe 20 players usually out of 32. But yeah, definitely really, really enjoyed Motorfest, and I enjoyed the Crew 2 as well for the most part. It's a little bit rough around the edges, especially some of like the voice work. But like because it feels like they just kind of recorded it in like a closet somewhere and then just sent them the voice lines and they kind of slotted them in there. Um, but yeah, like like I'm not a big racing guy, but I've been doing a lot of racing games this month and having a pretty good time. I also finished up Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, which, like I said last week, is fantastic. Bit of a slow start, story's kind of whatever, and kind of meandering, and I found like a really big plot hole when I finished the game. I was like, let me just put it this way. They're like, hey, this person died or whatever. And I was like, who? And like, oh yeah, that person from that one cutscene that we never saw again. I was like, did you guys forget to edit in a boss fight or something, or a cutscene, or I don't know. Like to be fair, they said they're releasing a lot of extra content for the game. Maybe they're just gonna I don't know. It's kind of weird, but still really really good. Really enjoyed the traversal and platforming, especially towards the end once you have all the abilities. I've said before, like one of my favorite thing in Metroidvania games is when you get a traversal ability or abilities that basically just break the game and you can just like fly across maps and like stuff that took you forever. You're like, haha, double jump, haha, fucking just this.
So
yeah, fantastic game.
I started playing it this morning for about 2 hours, and the first hour I was just like, this is very like, it's all right. Like this is like a 6. It's like very good, yeah.
It's very slow, yeah.
And then I got the next traversal ability, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, once you get the first traversal ability, I was like, oh, okay. Right. It's interesting because it's not just like a double jump they give you straight away. They do some interesting stuff around. Yeah. Let's go with you, Jake. Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. I know, like historically, I feel like I've come on here and I've been like, oh yeah, just like one game forever that I've been grinding. But I actually have been doing quite a bit lately.
Oh yeah.
I didn't trust Rockstar to fix the achievements, so I did the GTA up until I could do that DLC. So now I've got left is multiplayer. I have like one more platinum medal I need for heists that I haven't picked up in years, so I'm looking to do that and then some multiplayer. But I don't think I'll do Doomsday stuff because I respect my own time. Probably is a good answer.
Yeah.
And then I did the Crew 1 rushing server closure. I finished that earlier this week. After quite a journey. I was a post-announcement adopter. I was one of the psychopaths that heard they were closing it, and it was like, should I start it? And I didn't for a while, and then people were saying like they're getting groups together, and then I FOMO'd it. I was like, okay, I have to make the decision now, or I'm gonna miss out on people doing stuff. So I just jumped in, and I got through like all the base stuff like pretty quick, and was doing stuff with a group of guys. And then my worst fear kind of came true anyway, where I FOMO'd or missed out on a bunch of stuff because my challenges weren't showing up. which was a known issue a lot of people were having.
Mm-hmm.
Let me back up in here and say the risk of starting the crew 1 was there were 2 achievements that could just bug on you, and you for no reason, literally no apparent reason. Ubisoft support wasn't helpful at all if it happened to you. So those are the problem achievements, and I started the game knowing that, and I got both of those done. Well, the challenges bugged for some people where they would just never show up. And I eventually got those to show up by you can essentially sign in on like if you go to another person like another Xbox or something, you might luck out and they'll show up. It's a weird workaround, and they'll only show up for like a day, and after 24 hours they're like gone again.
Jesus.
It's really weird. Luckily the week daily, monthly, and weekly are like terribly named because they can all be done in a matter of 20 minutes. So like the monthly takes the same amount of time as the daily, which is weird. Anyway, so I got those. But about 2-ish weeks, maybe a week and a half into me grinding this game out day in, day out, I tried to log in one day and I couldn't. And it was a weird error message that was like you couldn't really decipher. Like it wasn't like saying internal. It was just a generic, basically, with a bunch of random letters and numbers. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll try again later. And I tried a couple times that day. Same error, couldn't get in. And this ended up happening. Everyone I was working with, all the guys I was working with, were like, "Oh, you'll be able to get back in." It was 5 weeks before I could get back into the game. So I wrote it off. I was like,
Yeah.
it's done. Like whatever.
To get into it.
I was trying daily for a solid week and a half-ish, maybe 2 weeks before I was just like, that's it then. All right, I even had support tickets open and they were unhelpful. Like they're like, it's a network thing. It's a network thing. It's your network thing. They're like, it's your, and I was like, it's literally not, dude. I've tried my home, like I went to my parents' house for Christmas and tried it. I was using my home stuff. I was using wireless Wi-Fi. I was using my mobile hotspot. I even set up port forwarding to the specific ports that Ubisoft needs for the game. Like I was like, it's not, dude. And they kept going back with it. It's like, check your network settings. I'm like, you shouldn't have a job. You're so stupid. Please. And eventually they got around to the point of just like, we're closing support for this game, so we can't help you. I was like, okay, great, whatever. So yeah, I wrote the game off, and then I got a message that like people were because it was an issue several people were having. Like there's a good group of people who had this issue. And there was also like a server alert at the top of the screen when you sign in, and everyone was seeing it, but only some people were being affected by the not being able to access. I'm pretty sure they just had my like some people's save profile stored on like a server cluster that was just like probably just needed a reboot.
Yeah, I was gonna
like,
say give a kick. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's literally probably all it was. But yeah, I got a message from somebody like, hey, people are saying they are getting back on, and I actually was upset. I was disappointed. I was like, why did you tell me that? Because if the game was dead for me, that's like a valid excuse. I can sleep calmly, like saying it was out of my control. But if now I know I can get back in and I don't finish it, it's on me, and that's gonna suck. So I decided to get back into it, and everyone was already like done with the hard stuff. So I did miss out. Like literally the reason I started the game to not miss out happened anyway. But I found a session that weekend for like the pain in the ass one, and then I got lucky and got my challenges working, and then I was like, okay, I can actually like finish this game. So I did this week, like on Monday or Tuesday, I think I got my last 2 achievements, and I was pretty freaking stoked about that.
So that's not going to be a recommend from you.
No, I can't say I'd recommend playing the crew. Actually, that's not true. I would go play the crew on a dummy profile just to play through the story because I think it was a fun game. Go play it because after the 31st, you will literally never be able to, since it's fully online. If you're unaware, the crew is fully online, and once the servers go down, there is no offline mode. So
that is insane to me that's even allowed.
Yeah. So after the 31st, the game is effectively going to be flushed down the toilet. So if you want to experience it in any capacity, go play it on an alt. The story takes like maybe 6 or 8 hours.
I don't think we talked about it on the pod, but I'm pretty sure Ubisoft was getting sued over the crew.
There is a class action.
Yeah.
And the reason it exists mostly is because they have this isn't like some like theory craft or whatever. They have proven that the game does have offline mode in the code. It's the full same game, and all they would have to do is flip a switch, and you could still play the game. But they're not doing it, so they're doing a class action against Ubisoft for it. Yeah. Anyway, so I would recommend it. I had fun with it. It's a cool game. I wouldn't recommend achievement hunting it. I recommend going and spending a week, like some Saturday or something, on a dummy profile and playing through it just for fun.
Hey, Jake, back in December, do you remember when we were trying to go for the podium racing achievement, and like 8 of us were together, and you got really annoyed that we were all pushing a bus into the shed?
I do remember that. Yeah. So when I was trying to, there's the hardest achievement in the game, and not because the achievement's difficult, but because the game servers are trash. Is you need 8 players to sync up in a multiplayer lobby, and that's the hardest part. Once you get synced up, you can both get your achievements. Like everyone can have their achievements within 5 minutes. Yeah. Like but the game is so delicate. You have to get everyone existing in this same server or same instance rather, or else it won't pair you up. But sometimes when you see the 8th car, the game freaks out and kicks everyone out of the server, and it can't handle more than like the 7 or 8. So you have to have like perfect conditions.
Really not selling me on this. This sounds like actual. This sounds like actual hell.
It's people will spend upwards of like 5 to 7 hours just trying to get their attempts for these achievements. Again, once you get in, 5-minute achievement, but it's just like setting it up.
There is a way to set it up quite easily that I figured out. When I run it with a bunch of randoms, I had like a splitting migraine, and I said like, look, I meant to cancel the session, whatever. After an hour of them trying to get it all together, I just fucking took over the session, and we got it within 25 minutes.
Yeah, there's definitely little tricks you can do. But the first night we were going for, I was with Cameron, and these fuckers were trying to clip a bus into a garage, and I was getting so annoyed. I'm like, you guys. These servers are already held together by Elmer's glue and Scotch tape, and you're trying to break the collision right now? Like, can you not?
You were getting so mad though, and nobody could keep a straight face.
Everyone was. The angrier I got, the more people just kept doing it, like and wanting to make it happen. It was the worst. I was like, that's fine. Let's just stress me out. It's fine. Whatever. But yeah. So the crew's done. I'm stoked. I never thought it was gonna happen. I'm glad I did it.
It's such a big completion too. Like it's such a pat on your back kind of.
Yeah, I haven't done one of those in a while, like a nice, like hearty, full completion. And then the crew and 2 and Motorfest are probably coming up quick for me, just because I'm kind of already in it. And they're much shorter completions, which is exciting.
You haven't had any issues with challenges in that in 2?
I haven't started 2 yet.
2 is really straightforward.
Yeah. And then other than that, I also have been playing Armored Core Verdict Day with some people. That was, and I'm done with that. I completed that also like Saturday, I think. Well, Saturday, like so a week ago. That was a kick-ass fun journey too. It's jank. Not jank. It's not jank. It's convoluted because it's a FromSoft mech game. So what can you expect? If you've never played the Armored Core series, it's I would describe the Armored Core series as having a significantly higher learning curve than the Dark Souls series, and people say those have a high learning curve. The Armored Core series is literally like you need to get a small background in rocket science and engineering to know what you're doing.
Totally agree.
Because the game gives you nothing, and you get thrown in with these everything about your mech is customizable. I was playing with some friends who it was their first Armored Core experience. I'm experienced with the franchise. I played 6, 5, or Verdict Day, and the very first one on the PS1. And they were anything they would say, I'd be like, oh, that's a mech part, or that's a part. Like, to be like, oh, I hate the turning speed of the camera and you can't adjust it. No, you can adjust it. It's the head you're wearing. And the combination of the head and your legs change your camera speed.
Like,
And they're like, oh
how do you
man,
feel
like,
about mass to energy ratios? It's just like, yeah, this song,
yeah, exactly. And like another buddy was like, oh man, this NPC mech is like flying. What can I do that? I'm like, oh yeah, there's legs. Like these legs will do that. Or like my like this and that, and it's like, yeah, your generator. Yeah, you're like, oh man, I hate the lock on range. Like, yeah, it's your FCS. Like you can get a long range. Like every little small thing. Like you can even get these super weapons that you have to charge up. And the charge speed of those is dependent on like electric conductivity of one of your parts. Like there's a stat for that. So you're thrown into this game with like a ton of different parts, and there's stat lists that literally fill up the whole page. And it's just like, what the fuck is any of this? In the game, like I said, tells you like none of it. You can click like the back button, and then you can highlight each one, and it'll give you a brief rundown, which is incredibly helpful. But it's incredibly intimidating to a brand new player. But that was super fun, and the servers are going down for that on March 31st as well. So I was stoked to have that completed. There are 6 world bosses. Those were like the hardest part, and those were incredibly challenging, but like super rewarding and fun to do. And every time it was like it was low lows and high highs. Like because you'd have to do 6 like side missions as a team before you could even attempt one of the world bosses again. So every time you failed one, it was like a reset, and you had to like grind those out again and attempt. And you try and fail, and it's just like, oh my god, this sucks. This is the worst. Like we're never getting this done. And then you beat one, and now you're just like, I'm back in it, boys. Like let's get the next one rolling. So that was super fun. There's still time to anyone who's slightly interested. I would highly recommend it. There's still time. You can do the game in a month for sure.
Yeah. I've been thinking about maybe doing Mech Warrior 5 because that's on Game Pass, and I was like, because I kind of want to get into a mech game that's not like, because I really enjoyed Armored Core 6 a lot, but I'm also like, there aren't really any mech games like that. Like they don't like, no one makes games like that. No one makes Zone of the Enders games anymore. Like I want something that's a little bit more casual. So
yeah. Yeah, it's got me actually wanting. It's got me wanting to go get physical copies of Armored Core 4, For Honor, and 5, and do what I can of those. For Honor has a win 10,000 games achievement though, so but I'll grind it out.
It's a pity Chrome Hounds got shut down as well. That was a good one.
If you want Verdict Day in any capacity at all before the server shut down, I don't know. I mean, the store's getting pulled obviously in July. I don't know if they're pulling the game from online storefronts when the server shut down on the 31st. If you have any interest at all, go pick it up because it's $20 on the digital storefronts, and the games physically have spiked to upwards of $100 for a disc.
Yeah.
So already before they've even been pulled, like Armored Core 6 announcement made everyone go crazy for all the other old entries, and they shot up from $15 games to like $100 games pretty quick.
Oof.
And then I've been playing Metroid. I posted that completion. Retro achievement hunting. I retro achievement hunted Metroid NES and got all the achievements, and now I'm retro achievement hunting Metroid Zero Mission.
What are the actual? Because I'm always interested in the retro achievement stuff and how they set that up. Like, what are the actual retro achievements for that game?
Yeah, so I got into retro achievements. Definitely not in the infancy, but pretty early in like 2020, and it was a weird landscape where they had support for all like the basic, like the emulators that were basically like, these are done, perfected, we're never gonna get these better. And now going back to it, they've added a lot more consoles, which has been really cool. Like GameCube is almost done, and PS2 they've started adding a lot of games. I know that's not what you asked, but it's important because when I started, the achievements were terrible, and I didn't like doing it because it's all community driven.
Yeah.
And the achievements were created by these people who had a dying love for these games and had been playing them for the last 30 years. So you'd get achievements that were like, yeah, go ahead, go beat Metroid in 30 minutes while, using with one hand tied behind your back, only using the like with no super missiles or something. Like it was always just stupid. Like, come on, dude. Like, no, eat shit. Um, they policed that. The site eventually policed all that, and they took a lot of those lists and turned them into like subsets. So like they still exist, and you can still challenge yourself for them, but they're no longer the base lists. So for Metroid, the completion was a super straightforward 100% completion. It was get all the missile expansions, get all the upgrades, kill the bosses, go kill Mother Brain, and then they were like beat the game in 10 hours, 5 hours, 2.5 hours, and 59 minutes or whatever. And then there's 2 modes you can achievement hunt in. You can achievement hunt in hardcore, which is no save states, no cheats, or you can do softcore, which is what I opt to do. And you can have save states and cheat codes, and I'm fine with that because I, by and large, just want to experience the game. I don't really care about, having the brass balls about it all. I'll just run through and make convenient save states if I want to try something again, and if I need multiple playthroughs, then I'll turn on all the invisibility, unlimited ammo cheats, and just go hog wild and like I did my normal playthrough of Metroid with no cheats turned on. I was using save states for sure, but no cheats. And then the second playthrough I did, I can phase through enemies and have all of the upgrades right off rip. So I literally went and killed Kraid, Ridley, and Mother Brain in the span of like 10 minutes, and I got all the speedrun achievements. So yeah, it was super fun. Yeah, so that's kind of the landscape of what it is.
Right.
In terms of like the retro achievement side and that, how does that work? Like, are you just marking off you doing a achievement?
No, it's all incredibly manual, or not manual, automated. So the site lists has a download page for all supported emulators. They have the two big ones that are like the all-in-ones, like RetroArch, but then they have all the normal emulators, like the big Game Boy Advance one, which I'm playing Zero Mission on right now, is Virtual Boy Advance. They have a RA Virtual Boy Advance.
Oh,
and you can just download it, and it has the retro achievement subset downloader thing, and it asks you, do you want to download this when you launch it? And you do, and then you just give it your credentials that you've set up when you made an account on the site, and it signs you in. And every time you boot it up, it's automatically like, yep, you just loaded up Zero Mission, and you have 20 achievements in the game. And you can even pause the emulation, and it'll bring up an achievement list, and they have the pictures and the points they're worth, and it's really
incredible.
It's come a long way. It's really sick. RetroArch has a pretty cool experience for a lot of the super retro games or consoles. Game Boy Advanced and like PS1 and PS2, I like to do when they're standalone emulators because I feel they're a little better about modding for I like to do texture smoothing and run it in 4K and boost the frame rate, stuff like that. But on the PS1 and PS2 emulators, I didn't know this. I learned this because I was messing around the other day. They even have cumulative tracking. So you pause the game and it pulls up the list and it will tell you you're at 0 out of 200 for enemies.
Jesus, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's such a sick experience, dude. In the on RetroArch, I was playing, like I said, I was playing Metroid, and it had those speedrun achievements. In it, if you pull up the list, it tells you locked, unlocked, and then it says active challenges. So it tells you in your save file what you're still all eligible. So you can be like, yep, I'm still in the running for the under 2-hour achievement. And there's even little icons in the bottom that they've added, of the achievements that you can.
I mean, that's the dream for the Xbox, right? Like if we had that kind of integration with the Xbox, that's Achievements 2.0 right there.
Yeah. No, it's sick. If you aren't diehard Xbox and you're more just diehard achievements like I am, it's super easy to set up. I highly recommend looking into it. It's come a long way in the 3 years since I did it, because I wrote it off. I got into it this is neat, this is cool, and then I quickly was like, this is a pain in the ass, and these achievements, these lists kind of suck. And now I've gotten back into it, and I'm sold again. The community's gotten way better about it, and the community's huge. They do a registered user tracker. I thought it was going to be this niche, tiny little Tietos. I thought it was going to be this niche, tiny little community still, but there's 1 million registered people
Wow.
roughly on retro achievements. So it's got a super strong community and strong backing, and it's all like community driven, and it's great. Highly recommend.
I kind of want to do Burnout Free Takedown.
I was going to say, I can think of some great PlayStation games that I might want to get back to.
Since they added the PS1 and PS2, I'm like, oh my god, this is like. And GameCube is like, they don't have it yet, but so many, like you can look at the lists in development because new lists are coming out every day, and they've like, not a lot of PS2 ones are, but because they've shifted heavy into the GameCube, because Dolphin is close. They're
Dolphin
so close to releasing it. So people are getting lists ready, essentially. Amazing. And so this year GameCube should come out with achievement support. And subsequently, because it's saving emulator, so will we.
Oh jeez. Okay, this is bad. I gotta stop looking at this. Okay, I have way too much other shit to do. Way too much other shit to do. Okay.
I know. It's so hard. It's so hard to like not get around to.
I'll talk about my remaining games. I don't have too much more. But I did do assess. So I picked up Ubisoft Plus for the month last week or the week before. So like I said, I did The Crew 2 and Motorfest, and I did Prince of Persia, so I'm 3. And I finished up I played Assassin's Creed Mirage, so I did that this week. I enjoyed it for the most part. I think I like what they've done of kind of, again, if you know what this game is, you kind of understand that they were kind of like, hey, let's kind of take the current kind of Assassin's Creed trilogy and kind of bring it back to a more traditional style of like the first 2 games. It kind of does that, but it has a little bit of stuff in there that was like, it doesn't quite, it feels like they basically took the engine and forced it into this form as opposed to building something organically. So, it's a smaller scope, and there's kind of like, it kind of has that traditional, like, there's not like a major leveling system, but there are some skill unlocks, but the parkour is not quite as good. It's the parkour is kind of like, it feels a bit off, like it doesn't quite work as well as it used to. I mean, part of that might be nostalgia goggles. And I really feel like something's missing from like not having like the just hold down right trigger to go into free running and just start like doing all kinds of shit, where it's still like, now it's just like, oh, well, now you kind of click the stick in to run, and then you press A when you need to jump and start. And it kind of just doesn't feel quite right, which is unfortunate. It's also a little bit glitchy. It's kind of got it's a little bit rough around the edges in some places. But I had a pretty good time with it. I think it's like, it's a pretty middle of the road game. I think I gave it like a 3.5 stars, so 3.5 out of 5. So I think if you like Assassin's Creed, it's interesting to see they've kind of done this as an experiment, and I hope they kind of do more in this kind of space, because I think there is something there around having a smaller experience. But it just kind of, it was maybe, I don't know, like it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I do hope that the rumors of the Assassin's Creed 4 remake are true, because that's something something I'd love to go back to. But yeah, I think it's worth playing if you got it, like Ubisoft Plus. Good opportunity. It doesn't take too long. I think I don't know how long did it take me. Not too long. I think it was like maybe 20 something. But Cameron, because you played it, right, as well?
Yeah, the only problem I had with it was I'm not a fan of the middle of the map, the traversal around that area.
Yeah.
Like when you go into the garden and there's the big like dome. And there was one area, like I think mid-left, that was really dropping in frames quite badly.
Yeah.
But I played
there's some performance stuff. Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like in comparison to Valhalla and Odyssey and all that, I enjoyed these a lot more just because it's a much more streamlined experience. But like, you think of Valhalla 200 hours compared to a 20-hour. Like, this is what I want. I want more of these 20-hour games that aren't fluffed up with, like there is some like side questing and all that you have to do in these, but nowhere near the level as the other ones.
Yeah, it feels like they cut a lot of the fluff out of the game, which I think makes it a better game overall in a lot of ways. I kind of wish the story was maybe a little bit more interesting though. I think the idea of having 3 different kind of districts and having it be like, hey, you can do any 3 in whatever order you want, kind of was like maybe I kind of prefer the more traditional narrative of like character growth and learning about stuff because it kind of I don't know. I liked each individual investigation, but they don't overlap or intersect in any kind of ways because you're basically like, hey, there's like you get streamlined for like one because there are like 5 main targets in the game basically. And so the first one you do is kind of like your tutorial one. They teach you everything along the way. And then it's like, hey, go and hunt the other 3. And then the last one is the last one. And the last one is actually quite good. And the first one is quite good. But the other ones are just kind of not as good.
It doesn't, like when I think of, say, Far Cry 5, for example, another Ubisoft
Yeah.
like that game to me feels very disjointed and tried to like, in terms of area, thrown together.
Yes.
This feels a lot more cohesive in terms of environment, but not story.
Yeah, agreed. But I think it's a very kind of open world Ubisoft kind of problem, unfortunately.
Any other comments on Mirage or?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Mirage. Like there wasn't really much to say there. It took me about 30 hours, and I had a good time, but I didn't have a great time. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I've been playing that's worth talking about. Oh, A Little to the Left, of course.
Yeah.
So Cameron has been raving about this. Char, I know you've played it.
I was the original one to say that I wanted it to come to Xbox like months ago before it even came to Xbox. So
And I've never heard of it. What is this?
I love it. It's great.
So basically, it is. It just came to Game Pass, and it's an organizational game, which is really funny because I was talking about this with one of my coworkers because I work in information architecture, which is all about how you group things into categories, and this game is just that. Where it's like, hey, I'm going to chuck a bunch of stuff on the thing. Let's see if you can figure out what the pattern is and organize it into an aesthetically pleasing thing. And so, like, it's something as simple as like, okay, here's a bunch of pencils. Figure out a way of organizing them. And some of them have like one singular thing where it's like maybe like I think one of the ones I like the most are like where it's like, hey, this is like a drawer, and like the drawer's a mess, but there are spots for everything. You just need to kind of figure out how to fit all these things in there and kind of make it all fit and look aesthetically nice and nothing's crossing over. And like it's like an OCD simulator. But then you have things that have like multiple solutions. So there's one where it's like, okay, you have 5 pencils. And it's like, well, they're all different heights. So it's like, okay, well, I'll stack them from smallest to highest. Right. Now go back and do it. And it's like, okay, what else? How else could you categorize them? It's like, well, these ones, they have different length, like erasers. It's like, okay, so well, let's do smallest eraser. Even though the pencils are longer, the eraser is shorter on this one, so it's shorter to longest. And then you have one that's like, okay, this one is the colored pencils. This one is like lightest to darkest, or like do rainbow colors, or kind of like thinking about ways of categorizing things. Really, really simple. It's all like touchscreen or like drag and drop, like very like mobile friendly.
Sand ones.
The sand ones are really nice, yeah, and there's ones. I think like 80% of this game is fucking fantastic. I think there are some really, really interesting puzzles and kind of fun things to play around with, and it's just really, really satisfying. One of the ones I like a lot is you have like a tree or like a plant, and it has like leaves, and you kind of need to look on each side and do like a spot the difference and kind of figure out which ones match, and if they don't match, just pulling off a leaf to make sure it matches on the other side, and to keep it identical. So you just need to keep like looking back and forth. And there's a lot of really fun stuff like that. Where the game falls down a little bit, especially in my regard, is I'm colorblind, and this game relies a lot on color. A lot of greens and reds and blues and purples. In fact,
not having accessibility in the settings.
There's no accessibility options for unfortunately or anything like that. And if you're on a Discord, you'll have seen me post a couple of times and being like, hey, I'm doing this. They have a thing where it's like a daily tidy where you need to basically do a puzzle every day. You can change your clock to do it, but I was doing one of them and I posted a picture being like, hey, I need some help with this one. I've got like 4 categories and I've got blue and red, but I've got kind of like the couple other colors in the corner and I can't figure out which one I got wrong. My color blindness was so bad for this that they were like, hey, you realize there's 5 categories there, right? You've only put them into 4. So I had mixed 3 different colors together because I couldn't distinguish them. And I wouldn't be able to tell you what colors they were. So like it definitely has some problems. There's also some puzzle solutions that are just kind of like not great or just a little bit maybe too precise required to kind of just like get them right. But They
or
also
it
have a
doesn't
DLC
trigger
that
or
you can get for
something.
the game, which is called like Cupboards and Drawers, I think. And that DLC is really, really good because they kind of realized, hey, these are the kind of puzzles that people really, really enjoy. Let's just do more of those. And most of them are like, hey, organizing things in cabinets, making things fit on a shelf, putting things in a drawer in the right place, and having things like, I've got a needle that curves this way, and or I've got like, I think one of them is like a fishing toolbox, and it's like, hey, I've got a shitload of lures and worms and like bugs and stuff. Let's try and figure out where these fit in this thing and try and it's like basically it's just like a jigsaw puzzle, but with kind of interesting different um
And then using the
parts.
shadow as well is quite cool too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I absolutely I love the game, but it just kind of there's like maybe 20 to 15% of it that I was like, like I only had to use the guide maybe 2 or 3 times. I think there's about like 100 levels or so in the base game, and maybe like another
Yeah.
20 or so.
And all of the daily ones are part of the same range, and there are heaps of guides out there because it's
Yeah.
been out on Steam for forever, and I've had it on my PC for at least a year.
But yeah, it's on Game Pass. I definitely recommend it. I think it's great. I'd love to see a few more people play it.
Moonzon was
Yeah.
complaining about the leave, like the leave in the shadow one with the clock. I
Yeah.
love
Oh,
that
the
puzzle.
cl-
I
the
I
clock
solved it in,
one.
like,
That
5
fucked
seconds.
me off
I
so
had no
much.
idea. Like that's the clock one is one of the ones I had to look up. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me
I got it
whatsoever.
so easy.
That's the one that I was doing that daily challenge when I was on a video chat with Matt, and I was busy doing this going, what the fuck is wrong with this? I can't work it out. And I think I ended up like screen sharing just to show Matt what was going on, because I was like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Why is it not working?
The Tupperware one where you had to put the crumbs with the sandwich.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, the
And you have to
crumbs
clean
thing.
the stuff
Getting,
off
getting rid of the crumbs. I was like,
Yeah.
they haven't established this at all. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
No,
So,
and the fact you have to like throw them off the screen.
I hated the snowflakes.
snowflakes were
too
annoying.
finicky.
They were okay. I mean, they weren't difficult, but they were just kind of annoying.
Yeah, just in terms of trying to get through the daily. Because like when you're changing, when you're doing the date manipulation and all that, there will be a certain period of time before Game Pass tries to recheck for the license, and
Right,
they just
yes.
kick you. I nearly had it done the first day, like just smashed out, and then I lost 30 days worth of progress because of the
Oh,
recheck
that
on the
sucks.
license.
Yeah, I managed to do it quick enough to get it done, but the achievement for that, the daily thing is kind of a little bit glitchy at the moment apparently, but they are looking at a patch. So, but I would say just do the base game and maybe pick up the DLC. It's like $8 or something.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
If you got a young kid too, like the problem I have with the main game is there's stuff like the calendar where, you know, a 4-year-old won't tell that, hey, I need to put a sticker 12 days difference from the next
Yeah.
They won't recognize that pattern. But because the cupboards and drawers DLC is essentially just put things in the right place, you can just pass the controller to a kid and let them experience it. And I did a lot of that with Percy, just watching her play. But
For sure.
great game.
And then I will just quickly say this. I have been playing a little bit of Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So this is the last kind of Ubisoft Plus game that I'm kind of looking at. I'm still pretty early on. I've just gotten to the second area. And I just will say I'm surprised at how much I'm enjoying this game. I want to get more into it though, so I will probably talk more about it next week. Because I literally just like started it like on Friday or whatever. So yeah.
How much putting your hair in places is there in this game?
There's a lot of, I mean, you like, okay, this isn't a spoiler. It's on the front cover. You get an Ikran like part of the way through the game. So yes, you have to do a whole bonding thing with the animal and stuff. But it's, I'm enjoying it quite a bit, but I want to reserve judgment until I'm further into it. Because I have some stuff that I'm like, I don't know if I don't like this or if I'm just kind of not used to it. Yeah. But yeah, so we'll come back to that. Cameron, you've been playing a few things as well.
All right, yeah. Me and Matt basically been working on Gotham Knights. We did all the side stories last night. I'm starting to warm up to this game a little bit.
I think the side stories are actually better than the main quest. I think that if the game had just been like 10 of these sides, like really well-structured missions, like one villain, and just being like, because there's like a Harlequin one, there's a Clayface one, and then there's a Mr. Freeze one. Yeah. If they had just done like maybe another 5 with different villains, because the main quest kind of sucks.
It's weird because this game's kind of trying to do like the main quest sucks, the side content, like launching the missions, is enjoyable. But at the same time, I also enjoy the fact that you have this large open world environment where you can just go and solve a crime. Or
it's kind of weird.
Like
it's a very
it's
strange
weird.
game.
It's kind of like two different games, like trying to be forced into one. But yeah, I'm starting to warm up to it a little bit more. I'm not noticing the 30 frames per second as much as I did. I've warmed up to that, but yeah, it's kind of left me going, all right, I'm gonna definitely start another Batman game after this. Other than that, I've been working on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit for quite a bit with Drag because the servers came back online. I've just got to get access to the DLC and knock that out. He also made me start Rivals on my 360 because he knew that I had the game and I'm too nice of a person to say no. Rivals was good on the Xbox One, so we'll see how it goes. The two main ones I want to talk about is me and Stuvie have been doing Wolfenstein Youngblood, which is very quick to get through. It's only like 6 main missions, and a lot of the other stuff is side content. How the world is essentially organized is you have hub areas that you can go and do quests, like side quest lines through. It's that Destiny kind of leveling system where it has the same kind of gameplay as like the New Order, but you're just essentially leveling after time. You'll get an extra perk, and it might be add 25% armor or add 25% health. At level 40, there's a perk that you unlock that shows you all the collectibles in the game, which there is a ton of. But because Stubby's done this twice already with other people, he had the collectible things starting off. So I managed to get like 80% of the collectibles going through the first time of the game.
Damn, that's handy.
Which is good. So I'm really... People will say it's a downgrade from the New Order and Colossus. I think they were going for something different that didn't hit as well with people. Some of the, like, it has the same kind of blood in terms of story as the New Order does. There's some, like, genuine laugh out loud moments in it. The story's good. The boss fights are good. But yeah, I think it just gets dragged down by you go through like the New Order. It's a single player experience with a really good achievement list. This is rinse and repeat, doing a mission 50 times to unlock an achievement kind of situation.
Right. Yeah, pretty big difference.
Yeah. Still very enjoyable, but this is one of those games that for the normal person, they'll play through once and they'll be like, all right, cool, I'm done. They wouldn't be rinse and repeating on stuff. And then the only other game I have to mention is Coney Island, which is made from the same devs as Earthlock. They're currently also making Earthlock 2. This game got released in Feb. So what was originally meant to happen was the game wasn't ready. They were set to release on Xbox for a certain date. They asked Xbox to push the date back, but the game accidentally got released.
Right.
So, because somebody I know likes to hunt delisted codes, I ended up with a code for this game.
Of course.
And I had originally done a little bit of... when I was working with TSC, we were going to publish this game. TSC does do the publishing for the Southeast Asian areas. So it was familiar with some of the mechanics, and I went, all right, I'm going to see how far I can push this. The game is... what's the best way? It's like your survival crafting game, but it's very... Like, it's got just your heart's kind of Zelda system where if you get hit, you lose half a heart. You're going around, you're collecting items to upgrade shrines for fast travel areas. But the cool mechanic with this game is that you have 5 different pets that you can get. One is like a bee type of thing that pollinates your food. So you do that like farming level of stuff. There's one that destroys rocks. There's one that digs up stuff in the ground. There's one that fishes. And then there's one that cuts down trees. And then you'll have different parts of the island that have different like grade of crafting materials. So it just essentially becomes a go around the island, grab these items, come back to base, upgrade stuff. chop down 1,000 trees, dig up 1,000 stuff. I was really enjoying my time with this, and then the achievements broke. But I mean, the game isn't meant to be released until next month, so it's like kind of like, what do you expect, kind of thing. But in terms of gameplay, I'm just the main problem why it wasn't meant to be released early was this is meant to be 4-player co-op. This is such a great game to play with friends.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
you go.
It definitely seems like I'm watching the trailer now, and I'm like, yeah, this is yeah.
Like it's very fetch quest, but it like lends into that kind of Animal Crossing thing where you have decorations, you can make your base however you want to. Like there's an achievement for placing 1,000 items, and you'll just get that kind of stuff over time. But like any part of the island, you can just turn however you want it. 4 different playable characters. But then if you're doing solo play, you can be smart about it because everybody has their own inventory. So you might have one human character do your farming stuff for the day, and then you'll just swap between and categorize your inventory like that. In terms of story, it's very bare bones, just discovering like the secret of the island, but there's only like I think 8 quests. But this is probably like a 20 to 30 hour completion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's still a bit buggy, so you recommend...
Yeah, I mean, it's buggy. That's the only problem with it. I was just like, all right, I've got access to it. Let's try and get a first. Because the highest gamer score for this game is 380. And then everything started bugging out to me at like 300. Like I've done quest lines and the achievement hasn't unlocked. But this game also does have one of those in-game achievement systems. So it'll have like tier 1 of the achievement up to tier 3, and tier 3 will usually be the thing that's on the Xbox list. So you'll like chop down 100 things, chop down 500 things, chop down 1,000, and then 1,000 will award the achievement. But I'm looking forward to the patch. I want to get it done. There's a lot of NPC characters that just come back to your base and just act as shops. But yeah, this is a very nice, like, cozy co-op kind of game, which I don't think we really see enough of.
All right.
And yeah, pretty much.
Anything else?
Aside from
I just want... Oh, I thought you were saying anything else with anyone. Yeah, sorry, continue, Cameron. I was waiting until everyone was done. I wanted to add one more little bonus if you... to sell you guys on retro hunting. Is the achievement sound on pretty much every platform I've done it on, which is several different emulators, has always been the Xbox 360 achievement pop sound.
Nice.
So right, classic.
Sorry, go ahead, Cameron.
That's good. Yeah, I'll talk more about Prince of Persia next week, but I'm starting to warm up to it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear. Like, I imagine you'll probably get it done over the week because it's not like a super long game. All right, well, let's go through the leaderboards. So in third place, we have Ozbuff Fanatic with 17,275. We have Calevra with 19,015. And we have MC Pandas Games with 32,730 for a week, which is fucking insane. These people need to calm down. I remember that one week, a month ago, where I was like, oh, hey, I'm in like top 3. That's interesting. I had like 4,000 points. That's never happening again. That's not.
See, I'm on the leaderboard for another Xbox podcast, and I'm constantly number 1 that week. So you just gotta find new leaderboards.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last month I got 4,000 gamer score.
Yeah, right. That's insane. Like, I mean, like, yeah. But congratulations, guys, doing a great job. If you'd like to join the leaderboards, it's on TA. Just shoot us an invite or a message, and we'll get you set up with that. Completions. I'll quickly go through these. So a huge shout out to Dish, who hit his 2 million gamer score this week. Congratulations.
Nice.
That's incredible. Dish also plays quite a few difficult games, so it's a good one. Phoenix Frost did the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 remastered campaign and Walking Dead Final Season. Shane Firehawk did Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2 and Lego Indiana Jones 2, which he fucking hated.
You're starting to notice a trend here.
Yes, yeah. Left 4 Dead, Alpha D Pills here did Turnip Boy Robs a Bank. Moonzone and Rapture both did Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2 as well. Duty Writes Long Reviews finally finished up Dark Souls Remastered, which he's been chronicling on our Discord, so you can see how he went with that. I'm glad that he finally got it done. He seemed to be having a pretty good time, and now he's going and trying 2 and realizing why everyone was so upset when 2 came out. I
I'm
like
a 2
2.
lover.
I like 2 a lot, but it is a pretty big fucking difference from the first game. Mikhail KV
I'll
also
preach
finished.
2 to the heavens. I love Dark Souls 2. I'm a Dark Souls 2 defender.
I mean, no one's perfect, right? But Mikhail KV finished up Assassin's Creed Mirage like I did. He had sort of similar thoughts to me. Left for Legacy, again, shout out to him for helping me out with the Crew Motorfest. Finished up Gravel and Bluey. MC Pandas Games finished up Call of Duty Classic German edition. Mango finished up Brotato. Monkeys finished up Baldur's Gate 3, which is a huge completion. So congrats there. I did see someone on TA handing out the honor mode achievements though, which annoys me a little bit because I fucking did a speed run for that. But there's a guy setting up sessions there where he's just like, yeah, I have a save like right at the end of the game, so you just need to play like the last part of it. So
What is that achievement for?
finishing honor mode, which is like the permadeath on the hardest difficulty. So he has like a save right before the final boss, I think, or it might even be after the final boss. I'm not sure, like here, but it's right towards the end of the game. Save you.
So saves are
yeah,
going to start being thrown around for that. It sounds like.
yeah. I'm hoping maybe some people have some saves for like the previous Divinity games as well, because there are honor mode achievements for Original Sin 1 and 2 as well, but not as popular. Super Bowl finished up The Crew, the first one. Congratulations to him. I know he's been working hard on that. And Shadow's Life finished up Star Wars Battlefront and Castle Crashers. He said he's very excited for the new announcement of the re-release of Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 collection coming out next month, which looks really, really cool. It's going to have like 64-player multiplayer and shit. I might even give that a look.
Is it going to have online multiplayer?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's going to be huge.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sick, dude. I'm stoked.
I need to have a look at the list
stoked.
when it comes out, but might be a day one for me. We'll see.
Yeah, same. I don't care about the list. I'll do it. I don't give a shit.
As much as I try not to, it might end up being that. And then the word challenge. I'm gonna have a new one for next week, for the start of March. So keep an eye out. As with last week, Bulbasaur won it with Pinball FX. There was some interesting confusion from one Professor Pluto around where Zen Studios is based. They are based in Hungary, so they're a European dev. But yeah, I'll come up with something new, so you can start getting your guesses in. You won't get anything if you win right now because I haven't come up with a game yet. But it's not going to be the witness. I'll tell you right now.
Boo.
Cameron, you want to read it through Patreon?
Yeah. Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natalator, Mad Lefty, 2097, Admiral Awesome, Heavy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavalier 07, Old Me Clown, Mark B, McLovin Legend, Message, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. Thank you. Without your patronage, we would not be able to put the show up.
So yeah, thank you so much. If you do want to help support the show, patreon.com/HaulerGamers, any amount. I don't gate any of the content based on how much you give. So if you want, you want to put a $2 donation in, you want to put a $10 donation in, you get the same stuff. You just, as much as you feel like supporting the show, we greatly appreciate it. I put up all of the pre and post show stuff, the behind the scenes stuff each week, if we have it, along with any additional content that we do. I do usually put out the additional content a little bit later, but I've been spacing that out maybe like one a month. So if you want to get everything day and date early and get all the content, that's the best place to do it. Cameron also does occasional shirt stuff and merch there as well that you can check out through the store. And that's kind of going to bring us towards the end of the show. As always, we do the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us and come hang out with us. Like we've got Simone in the chat. We've got the Moonzom. We had Bulbasaur here earlier. So yeah, if you want to come say hi, ask questions, feel free. We always appreciate our supporting community. All right. Who wants to go first around what they got going on? Let's go with you, Jake. You're a wonderful guest. You got anything you want to shill?
Shill? I guess just the Discord. I've been on here a couple enough at this point. Everyone should know. There's links in Hall of Gamers to AHA. It's a cool, chill environment where we were literally talking in the pre-show about how the je ne sais quoi of the servers being a degenerate So
Accurate.
if you like just goofing off and keeping things pretty relaxed and off the cuff, it's a good place to hang out. That's pretty much it these days. Work's got me pretty tied up to where I'm just kind of hanging out there these days.
Yeah, that's fair. Char, have you got anything going on?
Mostly just my art stuff, which is over on Instagram under the Char with many names, because I managed to make all of my accounts basically the same version of the Char with many names now. So I just was like,
ironically, you managed to get brand synergy. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, it only took me how long? What?
I'm
and
gonna call
Xbox...
your Twitch name in chat.
Oh, probably, but like, fuck off. I don't Twitch at the moment. It's been too hard to like stream for the past year, so I'll get back to it eventually when I have time again. But uni takes up a lot of my time and work and shit. And then on Xbox, I'm Char has names.
Cameron?
I'm buying a house, so once that's sorted, I'll get back to streaming after that stuff.
Amazing.
Too many live things.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And then I don't do anything outside of this show, so Neomaster everything, Twitch, Xbox, and Discord if you need to get a hold of me for whatever reason. But that's going to wrap up episode 112. A huge thank you to my wonderful guests this week. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.